Welcome to the Growing in Love for Life podcast, where it's all about saving and strengthening your marriage and creating the relationship you really deserve and want to have. And now, from growinginloveforlife.com, relationship and marriage coach and best-selling author, your host, Liam Naden.
This is episode 45 of the Growing in Love for Life podcast. It's Liam Naden here. Welcome everybody. It's been quite a while since I've recorded an episode of the podcast, but a recent event got me thinking, and I thought I'd share a few ideas with you and create a podcast about it. And that particular event was regarded by many as the wedding of the year, which was of course between George Clooney and Amal Alamuddin. I hope I've got her pronunciation of her name correct. But anyway, it got me thinking, and the title of this podcast I've called is 5 Signs That George Clooney's Marriage Will Last and What They Can Teach the Rest of Us. So, the marriage of George Clooney and Amal Alamuddin last week has been, as I said earlier, has been dubbed by many as the celebrity event of the year. And it certainly had all of the hallmarks of a fairy tale union. There were 2 high-profile people with everything going for them. They've got wealth, fame, good looks, and there they were tying the knot in probably the most romantic place on earth, which is, of course, Venice in Italy. But once the glitter and the excitement of the actual marriage ceremony fade, that's when the real work of married life begins, as we all know. So, what's going to happen to Mr. and Mrs. Clooney then? Will theirs be an enduring marriage? Or will it go the way of so many marriages today, either celebrity or not, and end in divorce? Well, I was thinking about this and I thought there are actually a number of signs that the Clooney marriage may well be a long and a happy one. And when I was thinking about these, I thought it's a good opportunity for all of us in a marriage or in a relation to ask ourselves which of these things can apply to our own situation. Because after all, a good marriage is something not just to admire in someone else, but it's also you can learn from it as well. So each of these things that I want to mention have the potential to improve your marriage as well, and make your marriage not only endure but thrive. And of course that's what we hope for George and Amal. So anyway, the first sign that I think George Clooney's marriage will last is that they're rich. Now, don't get me wrong, money alone doesn't make anyone happy. In fact, it can do the opposite. But the truth is that financial pressure is one of the main causes of arguments, strain, and ultimately even divorce for couples. And I see this all the time with the people I coach and who do my programs. Now, obviously, the Clooneys are both of them are financially successful in their own right. And provided their money's well managed, I guess they can look forward to enjoying the benefits of their wealth. But for you, no matter how much money you have, ask yourself if money is causing any tension between you and your spouse. And if it is, look for ways to alleviate the pressure and remove it as a distraction from building the connection between the two of you. And I've also written a book about this called How to Stop Money Worries from Destroying Your Marriage, and you can find that on Kindle or on my website, of course, liamnaden.com. All right, the second sign that I think the Clooneys have got a chance is that they have common interests, and this is so important. George and Amal obviously have a great deal of interest they share in common. They're both passionate about using their influence to make a difference in the area of global human rights. And as you might know, Alamuddin has forged a professional career in the area of international human rights, and George's activities have been diverse but equally impressive in this area. So although they undoubtedly have other shared interests, I think their shared passion for something that also makes a difference to the lives of others is something that is likely to deepen their bond still further. And of course that's what their interest in global human rights is all about. But for all of us, having common interests is a vital aspect of a healthy marriage. And we've all heard the expression opposites attract, but sadly it's a big misconception when it comes to an enduring relationship. Because when the initial honeymoon phase is over, everybody in a relationship needs to fall back on common interests to keep the bond growing. So the question is, do you and your spouse have enough common interests? Do you enjoy doing things together? Beyond, of course, just managing the household and looking after the children. So it's a really good idea to search for and develop shared interests beyond your family, and if you do that, your relationship will improve. And I've also written a book about this too, called Save and Strengthen Your Marriage Through the Power of Shared Interests, which you can also again find on my website or on Kindle. Okay, the third sign that I think marks the fact that the Clooney's marriage is in good shape is that they share common values. Now, if common interests are about what you do, values are about what you think. And values are the things we hold as being important to us. They essentially shape our view of the world and our beliefs. And while everyone's values may be different, the strongest marriages that I've seen are those where both partners have very similar values and similar priorities. And the Clooneys seem pretty well suited when it comes to values. They both seem to appreciate intelligence. They both seem pretty intelligent. They appreciate variety of experiences, and they appreciate making a difference in the world. So these are values that they're going to be able to share as time goes on. You know, in a marriage, differing values are what I've found to be at the heart of the majority of disagreements and conflict. So you have to ask, what is your and your spouse's attitude to things such as, say, education, to spiritual beliefs, career, lifestyle, and even how you spend your money? And talking about your views on these things is going to help you to clarify your values and your spouse's and see where you have common ground. Now, this is really, really important and not well understood, unfortunately. But for more ideas on developing common values in your marriage, check out my Kindle book, which is called How to Know If Your Marriage or Relationship is the Right One for You. Again, you'll find it on Kindle or on my website, liamnaden.com. All right, here's the fourth sign that I think is very positive for the Clooneys, and that is another slightly controversial one maybe, but the fact is they're older. Now, George is 52, Amal is 36, and there's no doubt that age brings maturity and makes us far better equipped to put together and maintain the right relationship. Because the older we get, the better we know ourselves. We begin to know what we like and what we don't like in other people as well. And we often tend to have better self-esteem, and we don't just accept the next person who comes along, which I see happens very often with quite young people. So while it's certainly not always the case that we develop wisdom as we get older, it does seem that George and Amal are a pair who have developed maturity in their outlook on life, and I think it's going to help their marriage a lot. And it's worth you spending some time evaluating what you've learned about yourself over the years and the nature of relationships, what you understand them to be, and how your understanding has improved as you've progressed through your life. And often when you do this, you're going to find things that you know you could be doing better or differently in your marriage, and that are going to make things easier to see where and how you can improve your relationship. So that's really important. Okay, sign number 5, the good sign number 5 for the Clooneys, and this is really obvious to see, they have mutual respect for each other. Now, you only need to look at the body language when they're together to see that there's not just a physical attraction there, but there seems to be a deep mutual respect. And it's also clear when you consider that apparently they've even modified some of their behaviour since they've been together out of consideration for the other person. Amal has reportedly given up 2 bad habits out of consideration for George, one being smoking and the other being habitually late for appointments. So these are examples of being willing to change what you do for the sake of your spouse, and that shows a deep respect is present in a marriage. So ask yourself, what are you willing to do out of deep respect for your spouse? How much do you respect them for who they are without necessarily trying to change them? That's a big question to ask yourself. How much do you respect them, your spouse, for who they are without necessarily trying to change them? Now, I'm sure Amal didn't give up smoking because George threatened her or got angry with her. It seems to me, no, it probably came from a genuine place, a genuine desire to please her husband. So obviously, as with all marriages, time will tell for Mr. and Mrs. George Clooney. But I think on the outside at least, not only does their marriage seem a happy one, and has the sort of stuff we'd like to think fairy tales are made of, but it does at least offer a good example of how all marriages can be made better, happier, and more enduring. So I think, have a think about these 5 signs and how they can apply to your own situation and your own marriage. And if you'd like more help in really developing your marriage, of course, go to my website, liamnaden.com. And if your marriage is really in trouble, consider having a look at one of my 2 Save Your Marriage programs, which you'll find on there. And my website address, www.liamnaden.com. Well, thanks for listening. I hope you found this of some value, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye for now.